Okay, so I haven't really come online during the open recently, but today I had a spare few moments, and I noticed something kind of funny, so I figured I'd come on and talk about it. This is, I wish I missed it by a few minutes, but what happened here was I actually had an order going back to back, and I was in two positions at the same time, which shouldn't happen because one position should close the other. The backup position, if triggered, should close out the first position, but I didn't do that because I put silly me, I put the stop loss way too big, and I put it way up here, and so now this is more of a psychological decision making kind of conversation than it is anything else, because what I did was I lowered the stop back, so I was in this position here. I should probably just show it. I have a marked loss because I got triggered at the 34,000. I the stop was originally 34,250. I don't know. I had a brain fart and I just did that wrong. And then obviously the take profit was fine. So I actually this technically would still be in right now if I had just left it, but I very quickly just closed it out because um, I while it was down here, I moved the stop down to where it should have been and closed it out. Now, whenever something like this happens, it's always tempting to be like, "Oh my god, if this pans out, I could win for double." And I've done that before, and it's worked before. But I don't think that's a good practice, and I don't think that's good. It's not a healthy thing to get used to, because making too many exceptions. Rules are there for a reason, and making exceptions because of an accident or whatever is personally, I have not had long term success from that. It usually messes with psychology and messes with my mentality and decision making further along. And it has like ripple effects, which is what I mean by it messes with you further along down the road. And so that was just something that I've thought that bared mentioning up here. In terms of the actual position itself, let's zoom out a little bit. This is the 15-minute. We had the opening candle. Let's just let me zoom in real quick. This was the opening candle. It peaked up and then it started to. Well, this is technically a bearish engulfing candle on the 15-minute. We'll see if the 30-minute actually ends up doing the same, because you might have back to backs, same like equal but opposite um, candles on the 15, which would give you a doji on the, or something close to a doji on the 30. Little too small of a time frame for my tastes, considering where I'm at in trading. But there's a reason that I started to take a sell at the 34,000 with the 34.75 backup. And that is because, and something I didn't talk about yesterday, we had continuation divergence, hidden divergence. Where was it? Um, Here it is. So these two these two areas over here. So this, let me bring this back up. This line. Okay, so this high coincides on the price coincides with this high on the RSI over here, and then you made a higher high up on the momentum, but that couldn't bring the price to a new high. Now, that was the evidence that I used to say, okay, you know what? If gets above, it gets to 34,000, I want to take a sell. However, right now that seems to have been invalidated because um, the momentum has a new high. So, not feeling the best about this. I already got stopped out on the 34,000. Now I'm on the 34.75. I feel a little bit better because I believe on the 30 minute, yeah, there's a pretty nice zone here. It's already been tested. So I'm basically just playing this zone again. Um, and there's, and then this is kind of not as good of a zone, but it's in the same area, this base drop area. So I took a shot. The There is evidence to take it again, to take this, but I mean that's just too many orders for me. Um, Too many losses in a row to take, and so hopefully this is something where I mean momentum. A lot of things are pointing upwards, but there was enough, enough of a supply area here, enough of a resistance area, if you will, that made me want to take a shot at this. If this breaks through, I'm gonna have to kind of reset and re-engage and reanalyze, and probably take a look at waiting for a retracement, maybe down to the 750 area, because this looks pretty good. Let's see, is there anything? There isn't anything else that's that significant. I'm gonna play this out. I'm still hoping that this is gonna chop around up here, gobble up some orders, and then it's gonna collapse, because I actually don't have that much technical evidence to support that, to be perfectly honest, because a lot of the momentum is pushing upwards, and this was kind of a little bit more of a counter trend. Not much else to talk about, because technically we are in a range, so that technically nothing is counter trend. I'm playing the top and the bottom, so I don't feel too badly about this. The long that I would take is again down here around the 750, because this area looks pretty dang good. I'm not gonna put an order there yet because it's kind of far away, and how the price journeys down to this area matters as well. So I took this because, I mean, you look at it now. See, if you look at the charts long enough, you'll find you'll find any excuse for anything that you want, right? You can convince yourself of anything. But technically, I do also have, and I didn't notice this before when I was on the 30 minute, but there is a divergence up here. So I'm okay with the position that I took. There are multiple reasons to stay in it. There's also a couple of pieces of evidence against it, so it's not the strongest confluence. But, as I said, when you're in a range, and technically this is a range, when you're in a range, you're not going to get anything that's that great anyway, right? Because that's what a range is by definition. So this is about as best as I could get. The real purpose of me just hopping on stream and just stopping what I was doing to hop on here for 5-10 minutes was to talk about the execution error that I made that had me get into a back-to-back position, and then the psychological dilemma that I haven't felt in a while to deal with. Okay, what do I do? And I think that the indecisiveness burns mental fuel, and that's the part that made it not worth it. So it's, even if it coulda, woulda, shoulda worked out, I still think it's better to just, if possible, make it the way that I should have. The psychological damage would have been even worse if the price was flirting around and up here with my second stop. So it would be the equivalent of losing 3 trades, not just losing 2. But fortunately for me, it was dancing right around where the stop should have been anyway. So before I felt myself go down a mental rabbit hole, I just close the position immediately. And or rather I move the stop immediately and let it just hey, if it's gonna hit, because it's really close, if it's gonna hit, let it hit. And literally it hit right a few seconds before I jumped on stream and was like, you know what, this is a good topic to talk about, just to vlog about, on different ways that your trading psychology can, you can mess with your own trading psychology, and it can get kind of crazy. So that's it, and I'm in this position on the short. If it works out, brings me down all the way to this. It would have to break this low, but it would, if it brings me to take profit, I will consider taking a long around the 750. So it all depends on how this trade plays out first. If I get stopped out, then I will consider that it's almost a completed trend break. There's a couple of things I would need to see after the fact, after this breaks, in order to say, you know what, this is definitely a bullish bias now. So still doing most of the waiting. Fortunately, it's still early in the week, and I believe it's a light news week, so there's plenty of runway left.